Good day, viewers at home. You're welcome to School on Air again. And today we will continue our discussion on the recommended text for the UTME titled Sweet 16. And the chapter we will be looking at today is titled The Drive. And that is the second chapter of the book. And basically, the chapter is a recollection of an interesting outing that Aliyah and the father had some years before when she was 12 at a cool Saturday morning. And of course, the essence of this recollection is for Aliyah to note the lessons that the father taught her during this time. And of course, in this, the 16-page letter written by Mr. Bello to Aliyah on her 16th birthday, it's a recap of all the lessons that the father had taught her. And in the recollection of this interesting outing, Aliyah now remembers those vital lessons. And you know, the recollection started with how the father came in to inform her of his decision to take her out, and of course, what seems to be a random discussion eventually became a very serious classroom of instruction to learn pertinent issues that will be relevant to living a successful life for her. And as she was recollecting those experiences, she remembered that day she wore a vest, and written on the vest is First Lady, and how a lorry pulled up beside them, and on the lorry there is an inscription, "No condition is permanent," how they saw two girls hugging, and how she desired to be like those girls, and the father narrating his childhood experience to her, and how the father spoke about menstruation and some things about sex education, and how Mr. Bello was also surprised that some of those things Aliyah had already known them, as in Aliyah is aware of those things, and Mr. Bello was actually disturbed a bit because she felt, oh, these things, they are sacred, they are things that shouldn't be known at some tender age. But Aliyah made it clear to the father that, look, that everything is on social media. People no longer watch TV. You can download videos on Netflix. You know, that's a site that streams online videos. She told the father, Dad, you can download you can download videos on Netflix. People can, you know, learn different things from different places. And she also told the father about a girl in her school that informed her of what her own mother, that is the girl's mother, told her about menstruation. That, look, when you are having your menstrual period, no boy must touch you. And Mr. Bello actually corrected that notion and put Aliyah in proper perspective of what the mother of the girl was trying to say. And that, look, it is not that you can't play with boys. It is not that you can't shake their hands. It is not that if they touch you, you are going to be pregnant. No, it is actually for you to be careful not to be touched on sensitive parts of your body. And, you know, this is the essence of the drive. And Mr. Bello is bringing Aliyah back into the recollection of some of those vital lessons. And of course, during that time, Mr. Bello also taught Aliyah that her mind is like a beautiful room. And Aliyah should be careful of what gets in. And that she should be careful of vulgarity, she should be careful of violence, she should be careful of bad language, she should be careful of sex-related materials, exposing herself to those things because they could be dangerous to her life. And Mr. Bello also taught her that she should be careful of what kind of company that she found herself in. And of course, she shouldn't allow anybody to touch her in her private part. And of course, the letter is a recap of everything the father had taught her since she was old enough to understand what the father was saying then. And you know, Aliyah likened the letter to a life textbook, a textbook on life that is so precious, and she desired to keep the letter and the lessons so that she also could replicate or transfer them to our own children. And despite the coming chemistry examination, Aliyah read the letter twice, and she still desired to read the letter again. And before I round off, I'm going to do a quick recap of the chapter. This chapter is titled The Drive, don't forget, and it is a recollection of an interesting outing that Aliyah and her father had 4 years before now. And as a recollection, Aliyah now flashed back to some of the lessons and what transpired during the drive. And of course, the first thing is that a lorry pulled up beside them, and on the lorry was written, "No condition is permanent." They also saw 2 girls hawking, and how Aliyah desired to be like those girls. And Mr. Bello informed Aliyah of how his own background was similar to that of the girls. And they continued their discussion, and Mr. Bello enlightened Aliyah and taught her some pertinent lessons. And the first thing is that Aliyah's mind is like a beautiful room, and she should be careful of what gets inside her mind. And that's the first lesson. The second lesson is that Aliyah should be careful of the company she keeps. And the third lesson is that Aliyah should not allow anybody to touch her in her private part. And we also see that Aliyah treasures this letter that the father had written to her, because it is like a recap of all the lessons that the father had taught her as far back as when she was old enough to understand what he was saying then. And also, Aliyah sees the letter like a textbook on life that is so precious and could be transferred to the generations to come. And of course, to round off the chapter, Aliyah, despite that she is having chemistry examination in view, she read the letter like twice to show her commitment to the words of her father and the fact that she so much treasured and valued her father and his words. And with that, we come to the end of chapter 2. Ensure you watch the video again and go over the questions that you have after the episode. See you next time.